Welcome to Combat Zone 360, where we discuss everything military. Today on our show, we have two station commanders from the New York City Recruiting Battalion. Station commanders for the New York City Recruiting Battalion are the individuals that run the offices here. Today with us, we have Sergeant First Class Hanson and Staff Sergeant Roberts. Gentlemen, welcome to the show. Thanks for coming. I appreciate you guys taking your important time out of the day to come and visit us.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah.
It's a pleasure.
Thank you. So what I would like to do, I always want to start off by letting the viewers just know a little bit about yourselves. Not your military background right now, but just your personal background, where you came from, where you grew up, sports you played, just different things throughout your life. Sergeant Hanson, we'll start off with you.
All right, so I grew up in the suburbs outside of Chicago. I lived there for 16 years, grew up being an avid Bears fan, played football my entire life, started picking up hockey during high school, and then I moved to South Carolina during my junior year. Picked up football, continued to play, actually had a preferred walk-on to play at University of South Carolina for Lou Holtz as a defensive back, and I was the starting goalie on the hockey club there. The SEC doesn't recognize hockey as a real sport, so you do what you can. And then from there, that's when I decided to join after a year at college.
Okay, and what about yourself, Sergeant Roberts?
Well, I'm originally from Anchorage, Alaska, so it was pretty cold up there, to say the least. Not a lot of sunshine during the wintertime. As far as what I did in high school, I was a JRTC brat, kind of, really about that drill team and whatnot. Wasn't really doing much out of high school. Just working a little bit of fast food, not really into sports, not really going to college. And I said, hey, why not the Army? The Army provided me with a lot of opportunities since then, and I've been grateful ever since.
Okay. Well, that's pretty interesting. At least they get to know a little bit about who's in their neighborhoods running the, Army offices here, and, they get a little bit to know about you. So I understand a lot of people have different ways or reasons why they join the military, why they join the Army, why they join the Marines, the Navy, all these branches. Myself, I have my own reasons why I actually joined the Army. They're a little funny, but what were your guys'? What drove you to that point?
So I saw 9/11 occur live on TV my junior year of high school, and that kind of really aggravated me a lot to see somebody attack us here at home. Even though I wasn't in New York City at the time, just to understand at 17 years of age what was actually happening. And then from there, my parents really encouraged me to go to college, just because I had a year of I had an academic scholarship to the University of South Carolina. And so I went there for a year and realized I wasn't doing enough. I wanted to be able to tell my future kids, which are now my children, one day that, Dad did something. I stood for something and I made a difference in the world. So I decided to join for that reason.
That's funny. I was actually in the field when that happened. I was sitting in front of my Humvee listening to the radio when 9/11 happened. So I actually got to break the news to the company that was out there.
Wow.
Wow. Oh yeah, and then they all huddled around and listened to it on the radio. What about you, Sergeant Roberts?
My reason for joining was a little less probably patriotic than Sergeant Hanson here. I do remember 9/11, definitely. I was in middle school, and I'd always had a desire to join the military. Going out of high school, like I said, I took about a year off. I thought my hopes were dashed because of some other complications that came up. But as it turns out, the Army recruiters, they worked with me, and they were able to get me an exception to policy, and I was able to join that way. As far as why I did it, it was, like I said, always something I wanted to do. Okay. And really, I wasn't doing much. Alaska is beautiful, has great landscapes, mountains, fjords, you name it. But it was not a whole lot for someone who was young and ambitious like myself.
Yeah. So I understand. My family's up there. My sister actually moved up there, and she lives in Fairbanks right now.
Okay.
Yeah, and she says she loves it. She'll never leave. She enjoys the outdoors out there. She enjoys the ice fishing. She enjoys all that. I told her I'll see you on the other side. I'm not I'm not going up there, especially during the winter.
Well, the permanent fund dividend kind of helps. It's the extra money that we get every year. So.
Oh yeah. No, she told me about that too. And she's like, you should come up here. It's a lot of fun. And I'm like, no, maybe way down the road. When I just want to sit in the house with the heat or the AC on and just not have to worry about anything. So I know a lot of our viewers, they actually look at, when they join the Army, a lot of family members, they think, okay, my kids are going to go to war and have to fight, or my kids are going to do this, or my kids are going to do that. What have you guys done throughout your Army career? Now, I know you guys have deployed. Mm-hmm. I know you guys have, done great things out there for our country. But what have you guys done? Basically, what's your Army story?
Basically, I enlisted out of South Carolina. From there, I went to Fort Bragg, North Carolina. I was an 82nd Airborne paratrooper. Whew. So jumping out of planes, was there for 9 years, almost in a whole 9 years. Same company the whole time. I did 3 deployments to Iraq, which is really what sold me on staying in the Army, which normally scares people away. But I was able to actually do what I signed up to do and protect those who couldn't stand up for themselves. And that really was a lesson that I took to heart from especially my second deployment during the surge into Iraq. From there, I was an instructor at the Army Aviation Center of Excellence. So I was a trainer for brand new pilots and commissioned officers and teaching them skills, weapons skills, land navigation skills. And then after that, since then, I've been an Army recruiter. I was originally just a recruiter on the north side in Staten Island, and now I took over that station as of about a year ago.
Okay. Are you enjoying it?
I am. It's got its challenges. It's a different atmosphere than being, playing with the weapons and having fun in the field and training, but it's also very rewarding to see the kids that come to you, maybe with a lack of direction or discipline, and that we can help put into the Army, be the liaison between them and the Army, and see what they come out of the Army as after basic training when they return.
There you go. I know it was fulfilling for me every time I seen a young man get through basic training and come back and, really come up and thank you for assisting them and, doing our job.
Yeah,
really.
Absolutely.
So let me ask you this. How does an infantry guy become a pilot instructor?
An email. Literally, there's 6 of us. There were 6 combat arms personnel on Fort Rucker down in Alabama. That was my last assignment before here. So if I have a southern accent, that's where it came from.
Okay.
But I got Department of the Army selected me based on my record to be an instructor and sent me through Army instructor course. And then I was just literally training in the classroom for a week and then out in the field for a week with the brand new lieutenants and warrant officers that were going over to aviation branch.
Nice. So I know Sergeant Roberts. What have you done throughout your Army career?
Well, I wasn't a paratrooper and I wasn't an infantryman. I took a more modest approach. I joined as an aircraft electrician, and really that gave me some rewarding skills, both technical and professional skills that will definitely be useful in the civilian sector if I ever choose to get out of the Army, which, by the way, I don't. But I went straight out of Alaska. I went to basic training and my AIT, my job skills training. Went to Korea. After that, I went to Fort Campbell, deployed twice from there. And really, my deployment experience wasn't really what I thought it would be. It was basically, I was just on the base. Some people call it a FOBIT. That's what I was. And I worked on the helicopters 12 hours a day, 6 days a week. It was a lot of work, a lot of training, a lot of experience I got. And that was it. A lot of sand. Not too bad, to be honest. Came back, got a lot of experience. Oh, you were going to say something. I'm sorry, go ahead.
Well, I was going to ask you, what's a FOB? Because I know you said FOBIT, and I understand what it is, but for our viewers.
Okay.
Yep.
So a FOB is basically a forward operating base. It's basically a fortified position somewhere in a foreign country, basically. And usually in a combat zone, although it doesn't have to be.
Okay, so basically a FOBIT is somebody who just never leaves the forward observing base, just stays there. Okay, so go ahead. What were you saying?
After that, I went to Wiesbaden, Germany. Was stationed over there with an aviation unit. Got to explore all of Europe. It was really, really awesome, really rewarding experience. Besides that, and I owe that all to the Army. As far as after that, after Wiesbaden, I came here to New York City. I've been a recruiter. Took me a little bit to learn the ropes. New York City is a different kind of animal. Obviously someone who's not from here takes some time to get used to it. But ultimately, I found ways to grow, to overcome the challenges, and now I'm station commander here in South Shore, and looking forward to my next challenge. So
there you go. No, so you were an electrician on helicopters, right?
Roger. Yes.
Okay, so what if you wanted to take that into the civilian sector out in, after you get out of the Army and go into the civilian sector, what would you have to get to be able to transition the job? Any certifications or anything?
There are definitely a lot of certifications that can be obtained through the Army and otherwise, civilian-wise, that I could obtain to easily, make six figures on the outside, working for the airline, working for Boeing, working for whoever. That's entirely my choice. Personally, I find it more rewarding to stay in, to complete a career with the Army, and that's what I foresee myself doing for now until the far future. So there are definitely the individuals who, they want to get the training experience in the Army, right? And they want to then, after their time in service, get out, continue pursuing their education and use that training that they have gained and find a nice civilian job, which will make them very competitive in the civilian sector.
Okay, so the certifications that you receive in the Army are transferable out into the civilian sector.
Definitely.
That's really good, and I feel you on the aviation portion of it. My son, when he actually joined, he was an Apache helicopter mechanic. So,
Okay.
Yeah, he did his tour in Korea, then transitioned over to Germany and did one tour in Afghanistan. So, yeah, and then he got out and came home. Oh yeah. So, with individuals joining the Army, I know they look at what type of benefits they would be able to achieve coming in. So if you guys can explain kind of what type of benefits are out there for new enlistees coming into the Army.
Absolutely. I'll go the non-traditional route, and I'll let Sergeant Roberts do the more concrete, the factual stuff that the Army broadcasts about what service grants them. But really what I found, the best thing and the reason I want my kids to join when they're of age is the time management, the discipline, and just the commitment to excellence. We all are competitive with each other, but it's not in the civilian sector where if I manage a store and I want to promote somebody, I might lose my job, or I have to move, or they have to move. In the Army, if I promote you, A, it looks good on me because I've bred a leader. I've took a soldier, a civilian to soldier to leader. And not only that, but they can also serve right alongside me, still within that same unit. So now that's how the Army really promotes, and that's some of the benefits is really just, like I said, the leadership training. It's all skill training, it's all credited, the discipline, and really the time management.
I agree with you on that. It's been very hard being out in the civilian sector to see when people don't want to help you become successful because they're afraid to lose their job.
Exactly.
So I've seen both sides of that.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So what do you have to put in, Sergeant Roberts?
Well, like Sergeant Hansen said, I'll go with the more concrete, the more what is broadcast out there, usually by the Army. And that's obviously the free education, right? We obviously give up the post 9/11 GI Bill that is 36 months plus housing allowance plus book stipend, which is very, very good benefit, especially here in New York City where, let's be honest, the tuition is pretty expensive. Besides that, you get the free medical, free dental care, training, job of your choice, based off of your own qualifications and the vacancies that exist. And there's just a whole plethora of other benefits, which I can go into, but it would take all day. So yeah. I'm not going to.
Well, that takes us to our next subject. If our wonderful viewers out there wanted to reach out to you guys and really find out more about the benefits, or to find out, how they can do what you guys are doing, how would they be able to reach out to you guys?
Well, one of the ways is through social media. We're big on social media platforms. I run a page, it's just U.S. Army Recruiting Staten Island. But on top of that, the New York City Recruiting Battalion has put together a page, which is www.goarmynyc.com. And from there, it can take you to links to the Go Army main website. However, the Go Army NYC is a more tailored fit to residents of New York City to contact a local recruiter and put our personal touch out there.
Okay. All right. How about your station over there, Sergeant Roberts?
So they can find us also through social media. It's Army Recruiting Office South Shore. Also on Instagram, we have U.S. Army _SI, Staten Island. And besides that, we have our office phone number and my own business number.
Okay. So I know that you're located over in the post office on Bay Street.
Yes, sir.
And it's been a long time since I've been the station commander for Staten Island altogether. So where exactly would they find your recruiting station at?
We're located at 3233 Richmond Avenue, and that's on the Greenridge Shopping Plaza.
Okay.
And yeah, go ahead.
All right. So if somebody would have walked into your office and was interested, how would they expect to be treated when they came in?
So when you come in, my NCOs, my leaders, we're all leaders in our offices. That's first and foremost. We've all led soldiers and helped them make decisions, for most of us for over 4 or 5 years at this point. So you're going to get treated like somebody who's interested in the Army. We're going to treat you with respect. But first and foremost, we want to find out what your goals are, what your passions are, and how we can relate the Army to what you're actually interested in doing. We can show you how the Army will assist you in accomplishing the goals that you have, whether it's the Army or not. If that's not your stepping stone, if that's not the end of the line as a 20-year career, that's fine. We want to show you how to get from A to B through the Army, and then it's your decision at the end of the day.
I like that, because that was the way I treated all my recruits that came in. First I would ask them why the Army. What are you expecting to get out of this?
Yep.
Really just to see if they're a good fit for the Army. Because not everybody out here is a good fit for the Army. They might be qualified physically and mentally, everything, but really they're just not a good fit, So we have to determine that and let them know, is this really what you're looking for?
No, absolutely.
Yeah, so what would they expect, walking into your office, Sergeant Roberts?
Well, first thing they would probably notice is it's kind of small. It's almost like a bodega.
Size.
Exactly. It's besides that, I like to think of it is cozy. There are a lot of knowledgeable recruiters in there. Obviously, that's our job, and it's to find qualified and also the right kind of individuals who would best serve also the Army. Now, there's a lot of benefits in Army service, but honestly, it is about service in the end. We are serving our country. It's about answering the greater call and becoming part of something bigger than yourself. All right, and that is something that we emphasize in the office. Now, not everyone. You're right. Not everyone is qualified to join. It's an unfortunate fact. Besides that, not everyone's ready to join. Our goal is to also give out that information. Even if someone doesn't want to join or they're not ready to join right now, there might be a time in the future where they think, hey, I remember friggin' Sergeant Roberts or Sergeant Hansen, they said this. Maybe I should give that a shot. Okay, and in that way, we continually better our community that we serve in.
I agree. So when they do make that decision to join the Army, what steps are they going to have to go through?
There's a lot that somebody goes through. People get nervous when they see us on the street. I want to be first and foremost out there. Signing a postcard does not put you in the Army.
Okay.
That's just us gathering information so we can contact you in the future.
Good.
But it's a lot. We have to first we test your aptitude. We want to make sure we can give you a free practice test in our office. We can also give you free study guides for the SAT, ACT if you're a high school student. So for parents listening, there's a free website for SAT, ACT study guides that Army recruiters have, and there's no recruitment purpose from that, just to help the community. But once they're mentally qualified, we actually are going to send you to take the actual test. Once you pass the test, which is a adaptive test, it measures your aptitude, basically how you can learn, if you can learn, high school math, English, and a bunch of categories to figure out your job. Then we do your physical. The physical is a head-to-toe sports physical. If any of the viewers out there played any sports, football, anything like that, or going to a new school, we make sure everything's good. There's no injuries, anything like that you're coming in with. Once we're done with that, you can actually choose your job. We're going to show you on our computers in black and white, no penmanship, no anything, nothing left to the imagination, and you can pick a list of jobs, and then you have 7 days to reserve that job.
Okay. And they actually do that before they go down to do the physical, correct?
Yes, 100%. You will lock in your job. It's called a temporary reservation. It's one of the unique things that the Army offers. And as long as everything goes well with your physical on the day you enlist, that is your job. No matter if Albert Einstein himself comes in behind you and blows the test out of the water, you still have it.
And are you guys the only branch that allow that opportunity?
Yeah, for the specific down to the finite MOS, the military occupational skill, we are. Other branches can offer you an umbrella, which is saying you could be combat, for another branch, but you might not be able to check if you're artillery or infantry or a tanker. That's going to be for that branch to decide. With the Army, it's down to, even for mechanics, like you were saying earlier, your son's an Apache mechanic.
Yep.
You can choose wheeled vehicle mechanic, different vehicle mechanics, airframes, Apache, the Kiowa, everything like that.
Okay. And then I know that you guys have it's a future soldier function.
Yes.
And for our viewers out there, a future soldier is getting ready, like somebody who has enlisted but has not gone to basic training yet, correct?
Correct.
Okay, so how are your future soldiers? What physical exercises do they have to go through? What do you expect out of them?
I'll let Sergeant Roberts.
Okay. So after they sign their contract and they swear in, they're officially a future soldier. They will attend future soldier trainings. Usually stations do it twice a week, and it consists of some aerobic exercises, some strength training, and it's basically there to get the soldier or the future soldier ready for basic training. That is its main purpose. Make sure they're 100% ready to go. They're mentally prepared. They're physically prepared. We'll build on their physical strength a little bit, but you don't really have to be very strong in order to go to basic training. A lot of people think that you have to be Mr. Universe or Olympic athlete to go into the Army. It's not true. We have to have a base fundamental strength, and we will build on that strength through basic training.
That's one challenge that I had, as a recruiter myself. I had to explain to them that we're going to get you to the point you need to be. You don't have to be there right now.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So that was the biggest obstacle for me, because they really didn't want to take that step until they were ready. So I had to convince them that you are ready. You're ready now, and let us help you get to that next level.
100%.
Yeah. So what's a tip? Like, what is basic training like?
Basic training is like drinking through a fire hose. That's the easiest way. You're going to get inundated with everything. You're going to learn Army history. You're going to learn the proper wear of the uniform. You're going to be issued these new clothes that you've never worn and no one's taught you how to wear. You're going to have patches on. You're going to have just everything you can imagine. After the first 2 or 3 weeks, though, that's when soldiers eventually find their groove in basic training. They realize they're starting to grasp the things, what's expected of them, everything like that. There are early mornings and there are late nights, but we're condensing land navigation, weapons training, proper eating, physical fitness, and just all these classes related to anything you can imagine about the Army, and that what we hold deal, and what the American population feels that we should hold deal, like loyalty, duty, respect, selfless service, honor, integrity, personal courage, in under 10 weeks.
There you go.
So that's the hardest part.
Yeah, and then after basic training, what do you think the biggest challenge in basic training is?
For me, it was just getting used to the routine. A lot, especially now in today's society, everything's electronic. You're not going to have your cell phone in basic training, and that shocks kids. But what's amazing is when they come back, they're not on their phones nearly as much, because you're forced to actually go back 20 years before cell phones were everywhere, and you're actually interacting with people.
There you go.
At that point.
And it was funny because my daughter also joined the Army, and I would see things on Facebook with her in basic training, and I'm like, how is this happening? And I found out she would sneak her phone out.
Oh,
Yeah.
she's lucky she didn't get
Yeah,
caught.
she was very lucky she didn't get caught. But I've noticed that kids do that nowadays, and I've seen it in the past, and I know they're able to bring them.
Yes.
But they have to lock them up until they have phone use, so they can kind of eliminate the time on the payphones and give other people more time.
Exactly.
Yep. Man. So what? Now I know when they come out of basic training, they have to go to their advanced individual training. So is that done immediately afterwards, or how does that work?
It is usually done immediately afterwards, after basic training. If it is not in the same station as they did basic training, then they will travel directly to their advanced individual training. There usually is not any break, save for like holidays. People come back for like Christmas. But other than that, it's going to be immediately after that, and immediately upon completing their advanced individual training and getting their jobs and the training that they require for their specific military occupational specialty, they will proceed on to their first duty assignment.
Okay. So When they are done with their basic training, advanced individual training, they're going to either come home if they're in the Army Reserves or go to their first duty assignment if they're active duty Army.
Yes.
So I know they have to have a specific physical ability. After they're done through basic training, what are they expected to be able to do physically?
Well, so our PT test, our physical test is based on gender and age. So we have different brackets because it's not really fair or reasonable to expect a 45-year-old to do the same amount of push-ups in 2 minutes as an 18-year-old.
Yeah, because I can't do that. Not even.
Me either. I'm not back to 18 anymore. But so it's a 2 minutes of push-ups. For males, the minimum is roughly 43. For females, it's quite a bit lower. Then you have a 10-minute to 20-minute break. You do 2 minutes of sit-ups, and the standards for sit-ups are very similar. Actually, women, that is where they have an advantage, is because of childbirth and how they're designed, how they were created, is that they have a stronger core than men.
Yes.
And then you have a 10 to 20-minute break again, and then it's a 2-mile run. And so they have to pass those events to the Army physical fitness test standards in order to advance on and officially graduate their job training.
Okay. So, and then I didn't catch it, but did you talk about the 2-mile run?
Yes, that's the last event.
Oh, okay, so that's the last event. And what's the typical time for that?
For a male, 17 to 21 is about a 15:56 2-mile run.
Okay. So with our viewers, when they sit there and they're hearing all this right now, a lot of the people out there, they feel that if I join the Army, I'm going to live the Army 24/7.
Mm-hmm.
What is a typical day in the Army?
You want to answer your day?
Yeah, that's fine. I'll take it. So, typical day in the Army is probably not what our viewers would expect. So, we wake up early. That's true. We usually wake up. You'll probably wake up maybe 5 a.m., which, I mean, after basic and advanced individual training, won't seem that early to you. Like, sometimes you wake up at 3 a.m., sometimes you wake up at 4 a.m., but 5 a.m. is typical. Get ready for physical fitness training, and then you proceed to formation. You do a little bit of training. After that, you do your personal hygiene, and then you would proceed on to go to your duty location, wherever that may be. It's usually corresponding with your job. You do your job. We have maybe an hour and a half lunch break in the middle of the day, and then typically 5 o'clock in the afternoon, give or take some based off of the mission, is when we get off, and then we go back to the barracks, or, for people that are married or have dependents, they'll go to their residence, and then we'll do the same thing in the morning, or the next morning.
Okay. So it was a pretty typical day, 9 to 5 job besides the physical training in the morning.
That's it. That's the only difference.
So sometimes there'll be late nights, sometimes there'll be early mornings, but they're not common.
Absolutely, yeah. Now, certain jobs, obviously, and that's where the recruiter knowledge comes in. Certain jobs have a few more early mornings or later nights than others, but that's how we try to guide, and our expertise comes into play with guiding, somebody who's interested, as well as informing their family of what their expectations should be.
Yeah. For example, if you join to be a cook, you're going to have early mornings.
Yes.
But you're going to get off a lot earlier than if you were an evening, in the evening shift, you would get off a lot later, but come in a lot later.
Absolutely.
Well, thank you guys very much for viewing into Combat Zone 360. It's been very exciting to have these two young gentlemen here. I say young because they haven't retired yet, like myself. If you can, please reach out to them. If you see a veteran walk by, definitely shake their hand. Thank them for what they do. It's very important out there. Thank you guys very much for viewing in, and we'll see you next time.